Hey, it looks like I'm live. This is Aaron Lopresti. This is another episode of Aaron Live. This is completely unplanned. I took a online dance class with my daughter, and
Had a great time.
that's her behind the banners. She's drawing Yoda as Elton John, so that's going to be exciting to see how that turns out later this evening. I don't know what it is, but people keep ordering this wonderful sketchbook of mine, in Raw Imagination, 20 years of sketches by me, Aaron Lopresti. You can read it right there. There it is. If you don't have one of these, you've got to be asking yourself, why don't I have one of these? They're 25 bucks, signed and numbered, limited edition. If you want to sketch inside, $45 plus $5 shipping. And you can have whatever character you want sketched inside. In fact, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do 2 sketches tonight, not 1, not 3, 2. So, let's do it. I'm going to turn the camera away from me because I think we've all seen enough of me for one evening. And I will zoom in here as technology allows me. All right, there's 3 people watching. That's amazing.
Quite the audience.
I know, I really draw them in. Get it? Draw them in. All right, I'm going to move the camera. Earthquake, thank you. I'm hilarious. In fact, I'm the funniest guy on this YouTube channel. All right. All right, first one I got is hello, Chris. Hello, Steve. Hello, Timothy. Hello, Gabe. Hello, Tammy. Oh, Tammy Hoffman-Beauchamps just joined. How about that? Woo! How are you? All right. Okay. So, oops, sorry. Move it a little bit more. Oh, there we go. That's a beauty. I'm going to do Moon Knight, or as Bugs Bunny might call him, Moon Knight. And if you don't watch Bugs Bunny cartoons, you won't get the joke, but I highly recommend that you do. That's what YouTube's for, other than watching these videos, of course. Gabriel's in. Double G, thanks for joining. Okay. Why is Moon Knight so popular and yet no one ever buys his book? It's an interesting phenomenon. I think we talked about this before. Same problem with Silver Surfer. Extremely popular, yet whenever he gets a book, no one buys it. Moon Knight's actually pretty easy since, well, doesn't even really have a face. But I'll put some shadows in here, make sure that the fine young gentleman that's ordering this is getting his money's worth. Far be it from me to rip anybody off, at least on purpose. Okay. I need to adjust the contrast, sorry. Let me do that now. No, we don't want to go that way. Let's try that. Ooh, that makes my hand look really weird. God, this is like a Andy Warhol film suddenly. Can we see? You know what? I got a little extra light over here. I'm turning it off. Excuse me stepping in front of the camera because now let's see what we can see. We'll bring the contrast back. I have my Husker pajamas on, my Nebraska pajamas, by the way, in case you're wondering what the heck is that guy wearing. Okay, here we go. See, now you can see it. I try to bring in a little extra light, and that's what happens. White paper and hot lights do not mix. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. Eric Bennett joined. Eric, glad you could make it. I always thought it was interesting when David Finch was drawing Moon Knight. Moon Knight had more black on him than he did white, but he did always look cool, so can't really argue with the results. The real question is, who would win in a fight, Moon Knight or Ragman? And the other question is, does anybody really care who would win a fight between those two? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. No one cares. So as you can see, that's a pretty simple and basic layout. Let's see if we can, and when I say we, I mean me, can make a little magic with the pen here. Okay, that is a suck pen. Oh, for crying out loud. You know, I just got an order from Blix in the mail, and I didn't order any new pens, and I'm finding out that I am running out of pens that are actually working. So I guess I should have ordered some. All right, but we'll get through tonight. Oh, that's flowing free. It's a beautiful thing. My daughter's back there cracking up. I think she's laughing at me, not with me. So
Flowing free.
it is. It's free-flowing beauty. Oh, Christiana joined. Hello. That's my second cousin on my mother's side. Doesn't that sound like kind of a joke? She's my second cousin twice removed on my mother's side. But it's darn near close to being true. Steve Barr joined. Andrew Prowant joined. Christiana says, hey there. I assume you're answering back my call out that I originally said hey to you. So that means I don't have to say hey to you again, but I will. Hey. So there we go.
So how many watchers is that so far?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Off the spur of a moment, that's pretty good.
So famous.
Yeah, you just wait. That's the problem. I got to take sass from my daughter when I let her in the room while I'm trying to do one of these videos. It's par for the course.
Gotta entertain these people.
That's right. Entertain the masses with disrespect. There's nothing like it. I used to have the first appearance in Moon Knight, you know. It's worth a fortune. But I traded it, or in partial trade, for a Golden Age Captain America issue that's worth considerably more. So.
Ow.
Sorry, my daughter just bumped her something over there. So whenever she crashes and burns, I got to laugh. So it's kind of it's part of our strange relationship. We revel in each other's pain and anguish. But there's love there. There really is. It'd be cool with the sound effects. I'm trying to do a show here.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. So I'm quite pleased to say that the orders continue to go strong on these books, which I'm quite pleased about, obviously. I didn't print them not to sell them, so. But I think the sketch option has really benefited me, and hopefully it benefits you. And by you, I mean those of you who bought one. My daughter just asked why you laugh when your daughter gets hurt. She's too young to understand. Oh, well, you tell your daughter that my daughter laughs when I get hurt a lot harder than I laugh when she does. So.
You make the biggest deal out of it.
I have to admit, I do make quite a production when I stub my toe, but you know, it's all about the entertainment factor. Have a few laughs while you're writhing in pain, or at least provide a few laughs for somebody else.
That should have been my senior quote.
Yes.
That would have been good. Did I ever tell you what my senior quote actually was?
Okay, my daughter's going to tell me her senior quote.
It's just a smiley face.
Her senior quote was a smiley face?
Yeah.
That's, well, I guess that's somewhat interpretive.
Like it's a colon and then a parentheses.
How much thought did you put into that?
Not very much.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide. I don't know, and so I figured that'd wrap me up pretty nicely.
Josh Olive, thanks for joining. Steve Branson's joined. Dave Olbrich joined. Wavy Dave. I kind of did this unannounced in part to see how many people are just surfing through Facebook on any given evening that might just kind of drop in to see what's what. Lisa Lynn joined all the way from Florida. My goodness, it's late. She probably just got back from a White Castle run, eating some of their soggy hamburgers. Hi, Lisa. I'm actually using a 0.5 instead of a 0.8 right now, which I usually use because, well, it's a brand new pen, and so it's actually giving me a pretty good dark line. And all my 0.8s are about out. So I'm so mean. Lisa, I'm not mean. I'm the nicest guy you know. Well, other than your husband, probably, but David CJ, you're correct. It is Moonconite. Hey, Dave Olbrich, if you're still there, are the coyotes out yet in your neighborhood? I mean, out as in not necessarily tonight, but, you know, as springtime, does that bring them out? I had barbecue over at Dave's house one time years ago, and I thought I was going to end up being the meal as these coyotes were roaming the streets looking for a kill. Now I'm going to go a little bit smaller here with a 0.3. Here's where we're at so far. I can't put a lot of solid blacks in here simply because, as I've explained on several occasions, the really heavy blacks bleed through, and I really don't want that look on the other side of the paper. So everything has to be sort of done in line work. Now I was really planning on working on the Kit Carter page for my next Aaron Live episode, or which would have been this one, but I didn't expect to get some more book orders that quickly, so I figured, well, I got to draw those tonight, and if I'm drawing them, I might as well be live doing it. So I was listening to a little, I guess it was when we were listening to 80s music mostly. It was a little 80s, I don't know if you want to call it rock, but 80s pop music.
A lot of Go-Go's.
Yeah, Go-Go's and Belinda Carlisle, and there's some solo stuff, and a little Rick Springfield, just for good measure. So I figure if you put enough lines over anything, it looks good, right? That's sort of what we're going here for. Almost a European look. Alex is in Florida. He just joined. I'm sorry, he's in Houston. It's just as humid in Houston as it is in Florida. That's why I got confused. Hello, Alex. Thanks for joining.
Have you ever thought about doing live on Instagram?
No. Live on Instagram. I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, I'm assuming it's very similar to YouTube Live.
I see. Well, you know, Instagram, I have the least amount of followers on Instagram as I do on any of my social media sites. So Facebook is the one where I usually get the most people tuning in. And then YouTube would be second. And then I don't know with Instagram.
Well, I think it's just because Instagram has the most youth.
That's right. Well, they have youth, and that would not necessarily be my market, would it?
Well, it's just that like this art that's trending is like really absurd stuff or really simple stuff that people think looks cool. And so, or like makeup.
So basically knock them on their butts with something like this that they're not used to seeing.
Yes.
I got you.
Change the culture.
There we go. Look at that. That is one mean looking moon night, I guess. So you put enough lines on anything and it looks cool, at least in comics. Okay. I really don't know what else to do with them. Let's take a look at the what I would consider, I guess, the finished product here. Look at that. Spooky moon night. All right. Coolio. Getting some thumbs up. That's what I like to see. A few people making me feel good. Appreciate it. We'll go back to the old 0.8 to do a, I don't have a 0.8, 0.5, and do a bold signature as I lay claim to this. Lopresti 2020 sounds like a plan to me. Of course, we'll go check the old bat book. Ooh, number 137. Moving right along. Number 137 out of 750. So I still have a few left to sign, or sell, but it's moving along. One last look there for anybody that may have just dropped in. Moon Knight, like Jeremy Gallardo just joined me. Lisa Lynn says, my kid is smart. Definitely listen to her. Yes.
Oh, thanks.
She thanks you, Lisa. You just don't know her well enough. That's your problem. No, I have two very smart kids. And she's very sharp.
Why, thank you.
Okay, Randy, you just joined us. Good. There's only one more sketch to go, so you came just in time. I'm really going to town on this one because someone requested Garbage Man. So whenever you request my own character, you're probably going to get a fairly decent effort.
If this one goes quickly, you should do my random art generator. For the heck of it.
I'd be too scared to see what I got.
You get something good. Show you on that.
I always get the question whenever I do Garbage Man, when are we going to see it? When are we going to publish it? Well, after I finish I got a one-page Kit Carter strip I have to finish because it's half done. And then I'm going to start working on the Garbage Man, the new 15-page or 14-page or 13-page, whatever the heck it is, new story. And I'll start doing some live feeds while I'm working on that. And so we'll be able to sort of watch that as it sort of grows and progresses. Randy Funk says, my son's favorite character is Moon Knight. All right. Now, does he actually, is he old enough to actually read the comics, or does he just think the character's cool looking? Although I don't know when the last time they actually did a Moon Knight series. I don't really keep up with those things, and I suppose I probably should. We just watched House Sitter, my daughter and I, last night with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn. A sort of classic late 80s rom-com, as they call them. I still thought it was pretty funny. She was actually mad because she didn't think that Goldie Hawn and Steve Martin should get together at the end. She thought she should have got together with the other. Becky, the other. What was that actress's name? She was in China Beach, that television show. Is anybody on there old as me that would even know what I'm talking about? Probably not. Dana Delaney, that's who it was. Seriously. But I thought it was funny. I think it's still funny. But I like Goldie Hawn and, Steve Martin, so can't go wrong there. Fun thing about Garbage Man is sticking all the trash in him, right? One time I had a bullet shell sticking in him. I don't know. I'll do that up here maybe. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I put a toilet seat on him, but it'd be like too big for his head, so maybe I won't do that. Like a piece of string maybe in here would be kind of funny. It's washing out. There we go. He had a syringe sticking out of his shoulder in the first issue I did of him for DC. But of course, that led to a flashback of actually how he became Garbage Man. All right. I think I can do more damage with the pen, so I'm going to go in there and... Oh, your son's 20. Okay. So you're an old dude like me. Okay. I gotta do a better job of keeping this drawing in the frame of the camera. I'll try and freeze my pose here. Randy, you just turned 60. You're older than me. Let the celebration begin. I finally found someone who's older than me. By a couple of years, but not bad. You probably look younger than me, though, and that's really the key. Got a little keychain hanging out of his chin. It's almost like he's got body piercings, Carlos Gabriel Diaz just joined. Thank you. So I'm working on Garbage Man. if you just joined me. And those of you going, who the heck is Garbage Man? It's a Swamp Thing ripoff creation of my own that actually was published through DC Comics darn near 10 years ago now. Wow. But the rights to the character recently returned to me, and so I'm figuring out ways that I can actually publish some new material with the character, as well as reprinting the old stuff, which was never reprinted. Randy Funk, more hair on my back now than my head. Yeah, I know how that goes too. Actually, the story behind this character was that when I left Marvel and went over to DC, I was talking to Dan DiDio, the publisher at the time, about doing some writing as well as drawing, and he said, he goes, because at this point in time, Swamp Thing was over at Vertigo, and Vertigo and DC were really, I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds, they were separate entities, and so Vertigo had Swamp Thing, and Dan wanted Swamp Thing back in the DCU, but Vertigo wouldn't give it up. So he was like looking for a monster property to sort of replace Swamp Thing in the DCU. So I said, well, let me see what I can come up with. And so I came up with Garbage Man, which was originally titled Wasteland. The comic was, I don't know if that was actually going to be the character's name, but that was already taken. So then I had to come up with Garbage Man, which I thought, if you haven't read the story, it actually fits really well with the character. And so originally it was going to have its own series. It was going to be Garbage Man, just the regular monthly series. Well, and then it became, well, we're just going to do a mini series, he said. And I said, all right, that's fine. And so here I am working on, basically 6-issue miniseries, writing the script, which would have been about 120 pages. And so then he comes back and says, I think we're going to run it as a backup in the Batman books. And I was like, that wasn't as exciting, but then I thought, well, you know what? A lot of people read Batman, obviously, so it'll get a lot of exposure. So, okay, that's cool. We'll do that. Well, then he comes back and says, no, we're going to run it in this anthology series, which was, of course, The Kiss of Death, right? And so basically I had written this thing that was originally supposed to be, each story was supposed to be 20 pages, full issue. And then it became these 9-page stories, or 10-page stories, excuse me, over 12 issues. So I had to change my story breaks basically, so I could leave it on a little bit of a cliffhanger, obviously to get people to come back next issue to see what happened. So I had to do a lot of restructuring of the script after I'd already written it. I mean, the story didn't change, but I had to, alter it to fit the format. And that's what we finally ended up doing. I'll be careful not to bend that page. John Smith joins us. Hey, John. Eric, I'm curious how you're going to replace the established DC character appearances when you do your collection. Jonna Whittle Ellis just joined. I went to high school with her. Hi, Jonna. I think I saw you 35 years ago. I don't know, but thank you for joining. Okay, so what was the question? I have my own characters. It's a super team right now called the Night Club, and they're sort of, I'm not going to say monster characters, but they would be more on, if they had their own series, it'd be more of a dark and creepy, more like Batman type stuff. And so they actually fit really nicely into the story. And I would have to redraw those pages because Batman only appeared in, I think, 7 or 8 pages total. And so it wouldn't require that much work. And so that's my plan. That's because I've rewritten all that stuff and I just haven't drawn it yet, obviously. But that's what I would do is I'd have to replace those 7 or 8 pages of the Batman stuff, and I would use this team of superheroes that have very strange powers. And I think it actually worked really nicely because they're very much a after dark covert kind of superhero team, which really fits with Batman. So it's really I don't really have to change anything other than the artwork, of course, to make him fit into the story. And the leader's kind of the smart guy like Batman would be. So it's not a stretch for him to sort of figure out the same kind of science that Batman did in the original Garbage Man story. John, aloha, Aaron. Oh, hey, from Hawaii. Good to see you. I'm curious, what kind of pen are you using to ink right now? Is that your normal pen you use to ink? Not well. Sometimes it's a Le Pen drawing pen. Oh, if I held up in front of the camera, I was looking at it, but you guys couldn't see it. So it's a Le Pen drawing pen. It has several different languages on it, so I assume it's European made. They're actually kind of cheap, though. You can get them at Blix. They have a really nice line, a nice tip on them. This is a 0.5. I usually use a 0.8 to do the outlines on these sketches, but all my 0.8s are dry pretty much. So this 0.5 has never been used, so it's given me a pretty good line. And I use this stuff for like backgrounds and things when I do the comics, but I still use a brush a lot for inking, although I may be changing and going more pen mode. And if I did do that, I would use these. Because the thing with using a pen, it's a lot easier to use than a brush, because a pen is, well, if you're used to drawing a lot, which clearly I am, that's what I do, using a pen that is more like using a pencil. So it's not that big of a departure from what you're used to, whereas a brush is a completely different thing. And I can use a brush because obviously I've been using one for since I was 12, but it's just easier and faster and more efficient to use a pen. And if you can get the same line quality, or if you're looking for a different line quality, which I think I probably am, I wouldn't necessarily on like sludge, because I'd want to keep the continuity look that we had in the original series, especially if I was reprinting that stuff along with the new stuff. But I might go ahead and use a pen and get a little bit more angular, rougher look perhaps to the work, just for something a little bit different. There's where we're at so far on Garbage Man. It's coming along nicely. Noah Weldon just joined. Noah is a school teacher and my son's roommate. Okay. I got to remember where he's got color spots on, but I got to remember where they are. I haven't drawn him in a while. Now he's got one over his eye. I know he's got one up here someplace.
You have a picture of him right next to you.
Where?
On a poster.
Oh, that's right. My daughter's like, duh, he's on the banner right behind you. Hello. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Well, how about that? It's a miracle. A Christmas miracle. No one has ever accused me of being very observant. That's for sure.
I remember colors are.
Here comes the sass again. It's like, that's the thing. It's great having kids until the sass starts. Okay. The first drawing I did of this character is kind of a promo piece. That's what I used for my banner. Here, let me duck out of the way and this one right here. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is a promo piece I did before I did anything else, like the first picture, the finished picture I did of them. Now that I all inked that whole thing with a pen, and I was coloring it in Photoshop, and I'm a slow colorist in Photoshop anyway. Oops, sorry. But that was back when I was just sort of getting into it, so I was like incredibly slow. So I was sitting there flatting colors, which means basically filling in all the colors without any modeling, just kind of just flat, so you have kind of a guideline or a color map to go by. And it was taking me so long, I was like, I could paint this faster than I could do this. And so that's what I did. So that big poster up there, the banner, I actually printed out on some watercolor paper. I printed out the black and white art and then painted it in watercolor. And that's what I used for the promo art. And I got it done so much quicker. That's probably still true. I could probably still could paint something like that quicker than if I photoshopped it, but I'm actually fairly decent at Photoshop now, so I can get through it relatively quickly. And it does, I mean, it prints nicer. Watercolor is really hard to scan and get a good, accurate scan out of it. That's why so many people use digital art now, is because you look at the color on the screen and you know exactly what you're getting. That's exactly what it's going to look like when it prints. However, when you do a watercolor painting, you got to scan it. And then trying to get it to look like the painting just in the scan is very difficult. And, well, actually nearly impossible to do it so that it's accurate. You have to do some give and take, unfortunately. And then after you scan it, you spend all kinds of time working on it in Photoshop to kind of get it to color match what you'd painted. Again, you do the best you can. And then when it prints, you know, it still can come out looking splotchy or not as nice as the original. So that's why so many people have kind of switched over to digital art, because it's easy to correct on screen when you make mistakes, whereas in a painting, you make a mistake, it's huge effort to correct most of the time. And you know what you're getting. There's no surprises, generally speaking. So I'll just put little bits of garbage in here to kind of dress this up a little bit. Now put a flat-headed screw up here. Sure, why not? So I recently discovered, I was going back and kind of looking at some of the first comic books ever bought off the newsstand. And I always thought for years that the first comic I'd ever bought off the newsstand, I mean, on my own, the very first comic I owned was FF112 when I was like 6 or 7. But my mom bought that for me. You know, we were on vacation and we went into a drugstore and she said I could have 2 comics, and that's one of the ones I got. But the one I actually went and, you know, bought with my own quarter, I thought was Spider-Man 138, which was 1974. So that would have made me 10 years old when I first started buying comics regularly. So I've always kind of gone by that date. Well, I was going through, I've been re-inventorying my comic collection with the help of my willing daughter, who's very willing when I pay her to help me. And I was looking at these Frankenstein books, and I saw Frankenstein #7, and I'm like, I remember, getting that. I actually remember buying it off the rack when it came out. And so I went and checked the date on it, and it turned out to be like October of 1973. So almost like a full year before that Spider-Man issue. So that's pretty amazing. So it turns out that I actually was buying comics off the rack as early as 9 years old. Now, how about that? That's a story that you can now share with your kids. Probably not, but at least it filled up, a few minutes of airtime. I spent way too much time buying monster comics like Man-Thing and Frankenstein and Swamp Thing and Thing and Werewolf by Night. Basically all the books that were never worth anything, and totally ignored New X-Men and Wolverine's first appearance in Hulk and things like that I could have bought off the newsstand but didn't. I did buy Spidey's, but that was it. And occasional Captain America and Avengers too. But I don't know. I was just sort of totally obsessed with monster comics. All right, I've noodled the crap out of this. There we go. The Return of Garbage Man. I think I'll put a little line work in this color spot. Very lightly, some scribbling there to kind of give it a gray. Okay. Oops. I'm going to switch pens here just for the big signature moment. Who worked on that Frankenstein comic? Were those artists' influences for you? Buscema actually drew that one issue. The first 6 issues were Mike Plug, and the 7th issue was Buscema. And I think he took over. I think it went through issue like 18 before it got canceled. I think he drew the rest of them, although I'm not 100% sure about that. No, the biggest influences, Buscema is an influence in the sense that, he drew How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which is an extremely influential book for most of us my age. But in terms of just style-wise, Wrightson and Frazetta were the biggest influences. And then Neil Adams was big. I went through a Barry Windsor Smith stage. I went to a Jim Starlin stage. I actually went to a John Severin stage because he was inking Marie Severin in King Cole, which was like my favorite barbarian book of the time. And so I went through a John Severin phase. But Wrightson was by far the biggest influence on my work up to a certain point. I got 18 or 19 and my stuff really started looking like Wrightson. And so I sold my entire Wrightson collection. Plus he did something in National Lampoon. I had like everything he ever did. Everything, no matter how obscure. And he did this story, a Bewitched parody, from the television show, in a National Lampoon that was just really, I thought, inappropriate would be the best way to say it. And I was just disgusted by the story, and it sort of soured on Wrightson for a while. And plus I had been really, like I said, copying his style. Every time I had a problem, I went to Wrightson to figure out how he solved it. I'm still scribbling on this after I signed it. You're not supposed to do that. And so I got rid of my entire Wrightson collection, so I wouldn't use him as a crutch anymore. And plus I was kind of, like I said, offended, a little bit by the story. And then, but later came back to him, of course, but never as someone that I was looking at to learn how to draw or, how to solve problems. But I think we're always looking at anybody who's good, right? And trying to find something that they do in their work that you can kind of apply to your work. Like I was a big Keown fan for a while, and then Kevin Nolan. I love how he spots blacks, on figures, and so I, really took a serious look. This is number 138, so we'll put that number in here. But yeah, I would have been the big three for me would have been Frazetta, Wrightson, and Neil Adams in that order. And then I really like Steranko too, but not necessarily how he drew, but how his storytelling was kind of you don't really see it in my work now, but occasionally, what I didn't like in Garbage Man, for example, I worked in the title into every single splash page, in very Steranko-esque way or Eisner type way. Although I didn't really discover Eisner till much later. I was always kind of a Plug fan, but I became a big fan of Plug after I actually met him. And his Santa Claus book was so brilliant. That was a real inspiration to me. And that was in the 93-ish. If you haven't seen that or read it, it's great. Let's see, Jerome Georges says, do you remember Stretch Armstrong? Man, dude, you come up with the most random questions. And I'm like, what? But the funny thing is, I was just looking at Stretch Armstrongs on eBay the other day because I had one when I was a kid. And like a dummy, thanks, Lisa. Like a dummy, we finally got an X-Acto knife and cut it open because we had to see what was inside that made it all stretchy. So of course, then we tried to patch it back up, and of course, on something that stretches is nothing. Putting a Band-Aid on that is not going to hold. So it kind of ruined the thing. But I got some hours of stretching out of that. That was a lot of fun, but I was kind of mad at myself for destroying the doll, but we had to see what was inside. It was like this red syrupy goop. It was really bizarre. John says, I saw Bernie Wrightson did some small storyboard sketches for the original Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, in the 80s, when he kind of disappeared from comics for a while, he was working in film. So he did like Ghostbusters, and he did I think he did some stuff for the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider film, and I'm sure several other things that are I can't think of right now. But yeah, he did a lot of storyboard and character design and things like that, kind of in the 80s, before he got back into comics. Rick used to firecracker his Star Wars and G.I. Joe action figures. Yeah, and if he had the original Star Wars figures, I bet he's really upset about that now because those are worth a fortune. Oh, Margaret, oh my gosh, Margaret Wing joined. Margaret and I go way back to high school, so that's the second person I knew from when I was in high school. Hello, Margaret. Thank you for joining. Anyway, you guys are probably sick of staring at this, but I always hate it when I see people join and I'm about ready to wrap up. It's like, I gotta stall.
Yeah, to do a new prompt.
My daughter wants me to do a random prompt. So, what the heck? All right, you can do it on your phone and give me a random prompt to draw?
Yeah, so I have an app for it. It gives you a character for like a person.
Okay, don't give me something stupid. Give me something like that I would actually want to draw. Okay, well, give it to me. What do you got?
Who are you drawing?
Who am I drawing?
You have to wait 1 sec.
We're going to see exactly what happens here.
Martha Stewart.
Oh, forget it.
And dressed as a page boy.
Martha Stewart dressed as a what?
Page boy.
A page boy?
Yeah.
No. Give me something better. Okay. She got Yoda dressed as Elton John. Now that's something to draw.
Oh, you'll like this one.
All right.
A Yeti flying on a magic carpet.
A Yeti? Okay, now we're talking. All right. If ever there was a me drawing, that's it.
Yeah. Once I saw the Yeti, I was like, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Don't forget the flying on a magic carpet part.
Oh, I wouldn't forget that. Right. Okay, so I'm doing a Yeti flying on a magic carpet.
I think you should do this at the end of all of your
I know that's what you guys were all waiting for. So
I think it would get you more viewers if you did stuff like this.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It's like once a week. do a little fun random generator one.
Thing is it going to look more like Chewbacca, or is it going to look more like a Yeti? We shall see. Now, as I pointed out before, when I'm doing drawings like this, I don't really do the stick figure thing. I sort of meander my way into the figure and kind of get my form figured out that way, rather than doing the traditional stick figure. All right. Just saw a book on Amazon, the making of, it's like 50th anniversary of Planet of the Apes. They did the making of the movie Planet of the Apes, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get that book. Love that movie. All right. Randy says, do you do commissions besides the sketchbook ones? Love to have a piece I could put on the wall of my studio. I do. I have a home commission list. You can email me or message me on Facebook and get the details. There's a few people in front of you right now, but I will be doing more soon. But I do want to get some my creator-owned stuff done too, so we'll see. But yeah, go ahead and message me, and I really gave him gorilla arms, didn't I? You know what? I'm going to lower this carpet so we can get a little more Bigfoot going on here. Or Sasquatch, which is basically Bigfoot, right? I mean, there is no difference, is there?
I was about to ask, what was the difference?
Well, I think the Sasquatch is like the Indian name for him or something.
I was gonna guess, is that like a different title?
Oh, he's surfing it up, man, on the magic carpet ride. All right. So if he's standing on this dumb thing, then it's going to be bowed down in the middle to accommodate his weight. Right. So this would be like the yeah, there we go.
My Yoda's turning out really well as is, and I kind of like don't want to add the Elton John stuff, but I have to.
In case you didn't hear, she said her Yoda's turning out really well, and she doesn't want to add the Elton John stuff to it to kind of ruin the Yoda effect. But you got to do what the app tells you to do, right? I mean, that's the world we live in now. The app rules.
I just know it'll make it like funny, but I just don't want to ruin my Yoda.
All right. I got to give this dude more. I may have to auction this off. I don't know what else I'm going to do with it.
That's what I'm saying. Do these once a week, get some extra little off. Can't go wrong with that.
That's right. It all goes into your college fund anyway, so.
Exactly.
See, if Jim Lee did this, he'd get like, $1 million on eBay for it. I will get considerably less.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty good prompt.
God, I want to draw those tassels. Well, I'm sure most of you weren't sure what you were tuning in for, but I'm guessing it wasn't this. So we like to consider this an extra bonus section that, that really makes it all worthwhile. Eric Puckett joined. Thanks, Eric, for dropping in. Good to see you in action drawing. Thanks for everything, Aaron. Stay safe. Aloha. Thanks, John, for coming by. See, I killed the audience by bringing in Sasquatch on a magic carpet.
Yeti.
Yeah, whatever.
Yetis live in the mountains.
Wait a minute. No, Yeti is a abominable snowman.
Yeah.
Well, they all look the same.
Are you drawing a Sasquatch?
Well, they're the same thing, except a Yeti is white.
Yeah.
And this is going to be black and white anyway, so, you can.
It's for open for interpretation.
That's exactly right. I want to know what they eat. Yeti is clearly a meat eater, isn't he? And he lives up in the Himalayas or whatever. What the heck does he eat up there?
He eats snow cones.
Probably just not the yellow ones, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, get my reference.
Yes, of course.
I was afraid you weren't gonna get it, but
You don't slide pop culture references by me very often.
I don't know when the last time you watched that was.
All right. Well, let's get off the pen and see what kind of damage I can do on this sucker. Let's see. Lisa Lynn, Rick did that to Stretch Armstrong too. Everybody did it to Stretch Armstrong. We wanted to know what was inside. I don't know. Can I get in closer to see this face as I'm working on it? Nope, that's as close as it gets. I'll hold it up. Okay. See? Sasquatch riding the magic carpet.
You know how I would have done that piece?
You would have had Aladdin hanging onto the back going, slow down.
No, I would have drawn him in Aladdin's gear as like a parody kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's more work though.
Yeah, but I think that would have been, or at least that was my take on it.
Well, that is funny.
Thank you.
But too late now. Well, actually, it isn't too late, but I'm still not going to do it.
Yeah, I figured you would. That's what I meant.
Well, actually, wait a minute. What is he? Maybe I will. What's he wearing? He has a vest on, and then he has like balloon pants, right?
Yeah, and he has like a hat thing, like a fez.
Should I do it?
I don't know. Or you can do his royalty outfit.
Yeah.
Because that's really what he's wearing when he.
I can't do his fez because he. I already drew his hair.
Well, then why don't you draw a line and hang off the back of it? With his like head bitten off.
It's like, oh, you're okay. That's disgusting. His disembodied head like roped up to the end of the.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, how is it worse if he's just beheaded and his body's back there with no head on it? That's just as disgusting.
It just adds another layer.
You know, it adds a layer, all right. Yeah. No, I'm just gonna do what I got. See, it requires too much effort.
Are we watching How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days tonight?
No.
Why not? You said we were watching.
I gotta finish that Batman page over there.
It's almost done.
Yeah, I know. That's why I gotta finish it.
So then can we watch the movie?
What?
Then can we watch the movie?
It's like 9 o'clock right now.
So?
Young people wanting to stay up all night.
Dang. It'll look so good.
Do you want to share it?
Yes, I did actually, but I'm only done with the face. Like, I have the rest outline, I just need to do the shading for the rest. So maybe when you're done. I'll give my audience a little sneak peek. That's
Opponents.
what they really came to watch.
Opponents, I meant a Sasquatch. What? A Yeti is much bulkier and taller than a snowman. Yes.
He told you.
All right, Lisa, you're begging for the vest. All right. Okay.
She wants you to do that.
She's doing, says put the vest on, so I'm putting the vest on.
You have to put the fez on it too.
He's already, I'll have the fez blowing off. How's that?
Okay, and the hammer pants.
All right. Okay, if I'm going for the vest, I got to go all in, which means I have to do the balloon pants too. I'll draw his fez up here blowing off since I've already. I'm not really sure I understand how fezzes stayed on their heads anyway.
I think that every time I see a Jewish man.
Well, they pin those on.
But they have short hair.
They just like use hair clips, I think.
Yeah, those don't work very well on short hair.
Can anybody that wears a yarmulke out there share with us how you keep it on?
Maybe they just have really good balance.
I don't think so.
Like
I think
how
they
princesses
hair
balance
clip it
those
on.
Or maybe they have like an elastic thing that they have like around their head that we just can't see.
That may be a Shriner's cap that I just drew. I'm not sure, but
I really hope you're drawing his outfit right.
okay. Now you're going to criticize whether I'm drawing Aladdin's outfit right?
Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but there's a not a great effort level going into this, so accuracy is not something I'll be losing sleep over.
No. Yes, can't argue with that.
Can't believe he talked me into doing this in the first place. But like, it is actually a pretty good, for me anyway, pretty good subject matter. So. And there's something freeing about drawing something you don't really care what it looks like. I mean, I do care, but it's not like I'm doing it for anybody. So if it turns out horrible, no one's going to be mad at me. So I can just kind of wing it a little bit. And sometimes you end up with some really nice drawings when you do that because you're less uptight. You just kind of go for it.
You know what I figured out? Like what I do when I draw?
What?
I always like over exaggerate the eyes. But I think that's just because my eyes are over exaggerated from the normal person. So
Hey.
I think it's just like in me to do that.
The eyes are the gateway to the soul.
But I figured out like that's kind of been my style. Like whenever I draw things, I always make their eyes bigger.
Well, then you're halfway to Mangaville.
So I guess it's fine if I just use the excuse that I just draw people like that,
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has an approach or a style. If you're consistent with it and do it in a professional manner, then people will buy it. Say, okay, yeah, I accept that.
Just go with that then. And like I'm looking at this and like that's obviously Yoda, but then I look at the eyes and I'm like, wait, I made them way too big. But it's fine.
It's the Yoda Sammy style.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to put your mark on it.
Precisely.
See, I'm gonna end up getting too carried away with this, and it's gonna put way too much work into it. But
You were just talking about a second ago how you don't care how it turns out.
I don't care, and then suddenly I do care because I start working on it, and I'm like, oh, I need to fix that, or I need to add a little bit here and a little bit there, and before you know it, you put a bunch of time and effort into something. Lisa Lynn says, I think it's a bobby pin. Are you joking or are you serious?
Maybe it's magic.
It's possible.
Jewish people just are magicians.
Maybe.
Or wizards. Just kidding.
I have these moments of silence because I really have to sort of concentrate. When did I ever think I hear myself say that? I was drawing this Sasquatch on a magic carpet, and I really had to concentrate on what I was doing. All right. Here come the Aladdin pants. Were they like bell bottom on the bottom, or did they like come to a...
They like came on his ankles.
Right, so they like were gathered up like elastic or something on his ankles,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like they looked like kind of teardrop. No.
Well, these are blown all over the place anyway, so...
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, they came back to his ankles.
This is too much fun. I'm serious about the bobby pin. Okay. TC Shen joined. Now, TC has got many elaborate commissions from me. A Sasquatch on a flying carpet is probably not one of them, however. Yeti, whatever. I always say hi to people when they show up, and then like a minute later, because there's this delay, they'll say, "Hey, Aaron," and I'm like, "Oh, do I need to say hi again?" Because I'm like, now I'm responding, to them saying hi to me after I already said hi to them. But I don't know.
Did you do that in a normal conversation?
Well, no, but usually in normal conversation, a person wouldn't be, answer you a minute after you said something to them either.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
Or like if you're texting someone.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, this is pretty funny. So close. Look at that. Now I got to do the exciting thing of putting all these tassels on here. Well, I guess I don't have to, but I'm going to.
You just need to do it on like the four corners.
No.
It should be done.
Randy, send you a PM about commissions. Thanks. Yes, it just beeped on my phone. I will check it out as soon as I get done here drawing. When am I drawing? A Yeti on a magic carpet. I keep wanting to say Sasquatch, but it's not. It's a Yeti. And there's a huge difference. No, no. All right. So now I gotta do this long curve, freehand.
Is Bigfoot just an Oregon thing, or is that just anywhere with? Like,
It's anywhere someone wants to lie about seeing something.
no, like is that like a thing that like was made up in Oregon, or?
Well,
like,
it's I think it was originally, I want to say that Bigfoot was originally a Northwest thing, but like Oregon, Nebraska, parts of Nebraska, Oregon, Washington,
Nebraska's not even close.
Idaho. I don't know that maybe someone out there, that Patterson Gimli film, was that filmed in Oregon or Washington? I think it was in Washington. So that would have been the first official alleged sighting of Bigfoot, but it was just some dude in a costume. But I don't want to rain on the parade of the true believers out there, but I'm going to. When I was a kid, I wanted that to be real so bad. But then, of course, there's the skunk ape, which is in the bayou swamps. So, so they've got, and there's Wisconsin. No, the Wisconsin has like a werewolf man or a wolf man or something, right?
Really? That's funny. Why Wisconsin?
Thanks, TC.
That's such like a.
What?
Why Wisconsin?
I don't know. Why? Does anybody know anything about that wolf guy of Wisconsin? The dog man. That's what it is. The Wisconsin dog man. That's what it's called. And then, like I said, the skunk ape lives in the swamps of the bayou.
I mean, that makes kind of sense. But just Wisconsin, there's nothing there. Like, why would.
Well, that's probably what made it up, because they had nothing else to. I'm not ripping on Wisconsin.
Why?
They keep beating Nebraska in football, so I can't really say much. All right. See, I'm putting way too much into this. Now I'm going to like put a little design on the rug. I mean, come on. Seriously? I'm going to do it, though.
Well, you know, sometimes you just gotta go for yourself.
You got to put the love in, man. Anybody that's just joined and is like, what the heck is going on? I have no answers for you. It's just things gotten out of hand. So we're drawing a Yeti on a magic carpet. But I want to take a second before I finish this up to plug my sketchbook. If you don't have one of these, you should have one of these. It's a hardcover, 64 pages, full color. You can get a sketch inside. In case you just joined, you missed me doing Garbage Man in one and Moon Knight in the other. There's like pictures in here that are like full color, some copyright infringement. You know, it's just full of goodness. Kane from the House of Mystery, come on. Some fantasy art stuff, goblins and rock monsters and dragons and giants and looking creatures and Frankenstein and John Carter of Mars, and just, it's really wholesome fun for the whole family. So anyway, these are $25, signed and numbered, limited edition, or you can get a sketch inside for $45 total. It's not an additional 45, it's 45 total. And you can message me, email me to get information on that, on ordering one of those if you're so inclined. If you're not inclined, I don't know what to say to you anymore. Now I know some people are like original art collectors, and they don't do comics or books. They go for the original art. So I get it. I get it. I won't take it personal. I will take it personal, but I'm just saying I won't. Okay, whose idea was it to put a design on this carpet?
Yours.
Mine. Foolish choice.
Do I make him into Elton John?
Well, you made me put a vest on Sasquatch.
That's true.
Did you ink it, or is it just penciled?
It's just penciled.
Well, see, then you can kind of,
But
you know.
it looks so good. Not to talk highly about myself, but.
Well, okay, if you like it as a Yoda piece, just leave it as a Yoda piece then.
No, I want to know what it would end up looking like as Elton
Then take a piece of tissue paper and draw it over the top of it.
No, that's so much extra work that I don't want to put in. I'll probably just take a picture of it as Yoda and then add the Elton John stuff. And then if I liked the Yoda one better, I have the picture of it at least.
I see.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine with Elton John on it.
Well, it's just a totally different thing, man. Becomes something else.
It's just glasses and like feathers.
But the glasses cover up the face.
Yeah. We'll make it work.
Yoda is Elton John. Was that Black Widow? What was Black? Was that Black Widow? Randy, you're going to have to give me more information. Unless I said something and now I can't remember what I said.
You know, saying
That you're referring to that. If you're talking about my Garbage Man sketch and making a joke, because you, I don't know if you are or not. See, that's the thing. Online, you just don't know if someone's trying to be funny or not. Why am I putting time into this carpet? I don't know.
You gonna color it too, Laura?
I'm not going to color it.
You say that now.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Oh, in the sketchbook. Lisa wants to see Yoda.
I'm working on it.
She's working on it, she says.
I'm
I'll show it before I tune out, which is going to be in about 5 minutes because I'm almost done with this.
Okay.
Black Widow in the sketchbook. If you're referring to my Garbage Man drawing and asking if that was Black Widow, so that was a joke then, right? Man, when you have to explain the joke, oosh. Or maybe it's just me because you have to explain it to me, then I'm the problem. Don't know. There's a lot of thumbs up about seeing Yoda, so.
Really?
Yep.
I feel so famous.
The people are demanding
Stealing your views.
Yoda.
They're really just on here to see my Yoda.
That's right.
They don't care about you already.
Well, and I don't blame them.
But like I said, it's not even close to being done. I just have the face done pretty much, but the face looks really good.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we don't get to see her Yoda tonight, 'cause she's not done with it, I will post it or show it on one of my later videos.
I'll give my fans a sneak peek.
Oh, brother. I've created a monster. Can I color the vest? No, I'm not going to color the vest.
I think you should.
Nope.
Because then you're going to whine about it.
No, I'm not. This turned out better than I expected it to. Let's just put it that way. And I'm going to take that as kind of solace for the evening that I got more out of this sketch than I thought it was going to. So,
are you done with it?
darn near.
Let me know so I can see it.
Let's see here. All right, seriously, that's really enough. That's really enough of this foolishness. I'll erase some of the pencils, not all the pencils, but.
All right, I'm coming to see it.
My daughter's coming to see the picture so she can criticize it.
Yep. I like it.
Thank you. I use these pink pencil toppers to erase with because they work really, really well, but don't get them like at the Office Depot or someplace like that. I order them through Blix because sometimes they're coated when you get them like at the store and stuff, and they're really horrible. But these are not, and they work fantastic. All right, well, I got to put a little more detail on his face, and then I'll be done.
All right, let me know.
Well, I'm just going to put a couple lines in there, nothing spectacular.
I'm telling you, someone's gonna want to buy that.
Yeah, I'll let you know. All right, there it is. Get a little bit close up of his face there, so you can see that kind of Yeti expression as he's losing his fez, his vest, his balloony pants, and practically sinking that poor magic carpet. So there it is. You can never say now that you didn't tune into Facebook and see something stupid, because there it is, folks. All right.
You want my Yoda?
We want a Yoda preview. We want a Yoda preview. Let's see what you got.
Like I said, it's not even close to being done. But there you go.
She's got Yoda going on there and does not want to put Elton John glasses on him. Although I'm thinking I can see it now. It could be actually pretty funny.
The glasses and then like feathers like coming off the shoulders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally up for it.
I
think you have to do it. You got some hearts coming in. See, they're giving you some Yoda love. There you are. All right. TC Shen says, "Oh, that's awesome." Lisa Lynn says that's awesome.
No, anything for my fans.
Oh, bro. All right. So, we get a wow. No, I guess the awesome was for me and the wow is for you.
No, I think they're both for me.
Do you think they're both for you?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that could be.
Oh, my phone's at 1%.
John Hopkins just joined us. He, not the university, but the guy who sells posters. I usually see him at the Seattle show. Bakes cookies and shares them quite liberally. So I was kind of bummed out that Seattle got canceled, although they have rescheduled it for August, and we'll see if that actually happens. But I will go if it's on. I will go. All right. I can't stop working on the Yeti. All right, seriously, that's enough. And I'm gonna put a few wrinkles in his pants here, and then that will be enough. And I'll put a few lines right here, and then that's it. That's all right. Seriously, that's it. Okay. John, I hope all is well with you in the Great Northwest. There in Seattle, I think things are actually getting back to normal to start, and I think you guys are in phase 1, aren't they? Aren't you? You can help me celebrate my 50th birthday since it's on setup day. Oh, is it really? So I'm gonna have to bring you cookies. John Smith wants to know when you're gonna start sitting at my booth. John, you know she sits at my booth when she comes to San Diego, but she doesn't do anything while she's there. We have to get her to work. That's the key. Yes.
I do stuff.
You do nothing at San Diego.
I look at stuff.
You look at, yeah, she looks at stuff. Lisa said you can have both of her sentiments, both the it's awesome and wow.
Yeah. That's right.
Actually, Jerome, my daughter, when I can get her to do it, again, it's, she flats colors for me on like covers and stuff when I can get her to do it. Which
you haven't asked for me to in a while.
it's because you're always too busy.
Yeah.
And I haven't had any to do since we've been quarantined when you actually had time to do it.
Sure.
So, all right, seriously, I got to stop working on this. I'm done. Okay, finished. We'll sign down here in the clouds, make it official. Yep. Bending the paper there, and I'll fix that up. As good as new. All right, folks. There it is. John, my son is doing great. He's working as an engineer down in Albany, Oregon, which is about 50 some miles south of us. But he's doing really, really well. Thank you for asking. Do you ever do Terrific-Con or Baltimore? I have done Baltimore, but that was like, I'm going to turn this up here, I guess, so that I can talk to you for a minute. Be too close to me face when we, yeah, still too close. See, I have my hip hop hat on from my hip hop dance lessons with my daughter earlier. Our dance class we took was pretty embarrassing for me. But anyway, do I ever do FloridaCon? Yeah, if they invite me. I mean, I don't really spend the money to go to the East Coast unless someone invites me, and then they spend the money to have me come in. So I'm totally up for it, but I have to be invited. And yeah, in Baltimore too. I got invited one time and I went, and that's the only time I've been there. And I had a really good time. It was great. And the waterfront down there was really cool to go visit. And I ate at, I'm such a tourist, I ate at Bubba Gump's. But it was good. So, you know, I mean, I thought it was good, but I'm not exactly a food snob either. So, you know, I'll eat at White Castle if someone pays for it other than me, like Lisa. Actually, I may not eat at White Castle, even if Lisa paid for it, because I was unimpressed with her White Castle experience, and especially since she was pumping it up so much.
I heard their sliders are good.
That's what I had, was that they like steam their hamburgers, and they're just squishy and gross. I didn't like them. Jerome, you're addicted to drawing. I am. Even when I'm not getting paid for it, I'm drawing. So anyway, everybody, thanks for dropping by. This was totally unannounced, I know, and I appreciate you taking the time to kind of chat with me for a while I had to get those 2 sketchbooks done, and then allowing my daughter to talk me into Aladdin Yeti. So I hope you had some fun. I had fun. I always do. I'll probably be back in a week. I'm going to try and do these regularly. Right now I've been just kind of doing them all over the place, but do them at a regular time. And my hope is, unless I get a bunch more sketchbook orders, my next video will be me working on Kit Carter and trying to get that done. And so you can kind of see that strip and how it all lays out. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So anyway, have a good evening and a great rest of your week. Until we meet again, thanks and good night. As he closes the shutter to darkness.
You know what you should do?
I'm not.